do I wear the mask or do I not wear the mask? I don't know. Are we allowed it? I'm inside, but wait, the rules are all over the place. I don't know what is going on, but I do know it is Monday night. This is On the Bywire, and I am Dan Lewis, bringing you the news you know you can trust. Now, don't forget, guys, before we get into things, hit up the website, bywire.news. Check out the latest in independent media news, all what's going on in the UK, around the world, everywhere. It's all popping off. And while you're there, hit that donate button if you can, because you know what's good. If you support independent media, that means you own independent media. And it means you're taking away power from those guys who live on tiny little islands with massive mansions and don't pay no taxes. You know, the ones who are trying to control the narrative and tell everyone what to think and all of them things there. So get down with the massive, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. You know what it is. Share the video. Come on. Now, tonight, as always, we have a jam-packed show. Come on. We are bringing you the news that you know you can trust. See, if I had an audience, you'd all repeat that back to me, like a live audience. You'd all repeat that back to me at the same time, and it would be really cool. But we're on the internet, so we do what it is. Now, oh, gosh. What has been happening since I saw you guys on Thursday? Like, it's like I go off air on Thursday night, and then just the world goes crazy for 3 days. I kind of went crazy for 3 days too, but less said about that. If you want to know what happened, check out my Twitter. Oh, man. But anyway, let's get into it. Where do we start? The Mexican Gulf is on fire. There's been a mad explosion in the Caspian Sea that created a tower of fire. Apparently that was something to do with mud. Mud? Fire? I don't know. You know, anyway, England is planning to ease the COVID restrictions while COVID cases rise. More stuff not making sense. The rest of the UK is just not so sure. Wales is kind of like, wear a mask, but don't do this, but do that. Scotland's like, we're doing nothing that England's doing, but nothing's changed there. The NHS is 73 today. Happy birthday, NHS. Also, it has a banker overseeing its operations from Whitehall. Like, I'm not too keen on that. That's not the kind of stuff I want to hear about. Also, NHS staff are being given medals from the Queen, but still no pay rise. Another thing that doesn't make sense. An EHRC commissioner is urging the British government not to impose new laws that curb protests. Like, it's a madness. We're going to get into that one some more later on. Also, Priti Patel, the smirking assassin, wants to use international law to imprison people who are in dinghies at sea. People who are in dinghies at sea. She's going to use, I don't get it. How can they? We'll get into more of that later. And also, we're going to hear a bit about James Cleverley, who has been accused of breaking ministerial codes. Who would have thought it, eh? A Tory breaking the rules. And news coming in from across England and also parts of Europe that there is a good chance something is coming home. Is it coming home? I don't know. I'm not going to get into that one. That's the kind of news we cannot talk about on here because I don't want to be the reason for a jinx. And I don't really follow international football enough to really know if it's coming home. But according to everyone in the pub on Saturday night, it's coming home. That's right. England is in the semi-finals of the Euros. Well done, boys. You've done us proud. Let's just hope it keeps going for the sake of everyone's sanity. Otherwise, we'll be having to raise loads of money for loads of crying England fans on crowdfunders. How weird is that? You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, there's the headlines on tonight's show. But let's get into the detail. The sea is on fire. Why is no one running petrified? You heard me. The sea is on fire, but no one is running petrified. Yes, I don't know. I don't see how such a thing can be happening and so little is being done about it. The world is in crisis. Not only is there a pandemic, not only are there dictators around the world doing all kinds of terrible things, but the sea is on fire. There is a video that's doing the rounds on Twitter. I think it had like 17 million views. And we didn't really hear a lot about it. It's like, oh, it got dealt with within 5 hours. It doesn't matter. Forget about it. Now, I ain't forgetting about it. I want to do something about it. And I'm sure you guys want to do something about it too, because this earth is, well, it's our home, all of us. And someone who is doing a lot with a lot of other people about the environmental crisis we face is Tilly Cook from Labour for a Green New Deal. Welcome to the show, Tilly. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you this evening?
I'm good. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Not a problem at all. Now let's have a quick look at the video. Let's see what I have been talking about all weekends. The sea is on fire. I'm laughing because I don't know what to do. Like, the sea is on fire. Wait, the last time I saw the sea on fire was in Free Willy, right? Like, remember when the whale, we had to jump, and the fire, and that was oil. That was bad. That was oil. See what I mean? And this is like, that's scary. Like, did you see the boats trying to fight it? I was like, what are you doing? That's not going to help. You're throwing water on a fire that's on water. It's not going to stop it. Oh man. Tilly, tell us a bit more. Like, obviously, I think it's a gas explosion or something, right?
Yeah, so I actually don't understand the science too much. And like you, I kind of don't get how water in the ocean can catch on fire. But what my understanding is, and the same with the Caspian Sea as well, it's a pipeline that goes along the seabed that has basically leaked and exploded. And to me, it looks like the surface of the sun. It's terrifying. As you said, I've like never seen anything like it.
Exactly. Well, the only time is in Hollywood, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, we're in a state right now, and it is down to gas exploration, whatever you want to call it. Here in the UK, they were talking about drilling down into the ground and then like bursting air or gases into the ground, into the cracks in the ground, to then pull gases out of the ground, which it could then cause earthquakes, water to catch on fire. And this stuff's already happening in Australia and America and other places. And we mentioned the Caspian Sea. That was to do with a mud explosion, right? They said that there was a mud explosion.
I think so. I actually have no idea what's going on in the Caspian Sea. There have been too many environmental disasters in the last week to keep track of. So I was just getting grip on the wildfires in Canada, and then this happened. So yeah, I don't know.
What's going on in Canada with the wildfires? Tell us more.
So yeah, you might have seen on the news, not just Canada, but like all of the West Coast of North America has been going through this insane drought, ridiculous temperatures. There was a kind of a temperature peak in Lytton in British Columbia of 49.6 degrees Celsius. What? And then 3 days after that peak temperature, the town of Lytton caught on fire. So like, this is happening before our very eyes, and is really, really terrifying. And I'm from Canada, and so for me, yeah, it's particularly scary.
Wow, like, so like, it's something when there's a forest or something on fire, but when a town is on fire, what can we do? Because this is obviously, you're from Labour for a Green New Deal. You believe in bringing about laws that will protect our environment and stop these things from happening. Wildfires, climate change has a massive effect on when them happening, and also like how long they can go for, and the ability we have to try and stop them with the resources we have available. But what are the steps? Like me, I'm in my house in Liverpool. I'm not in Mexico. I'm not in the west coast of North America. What can I do to really start making a difference in this world?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I think the worst thing to do is to think that you're alone and to try and do basically anything by yourself. I mean, there's this big debate about individual action. Like, does it matter if I recycle? Does it matter if I stop using plastic straws? Like, for me, the answer is no, not really. The only way we're going to make change, and the only thing that like I feel hopeful and excited about, is working and organizing collectively to get things done. And so that means like organizing collectively in the UK, which is what I do with Labour for a Green New Deal, but then also thinking about how we can make international connections of solidarity. So, for example, a couple of weeks ago, I was involved in an action in London against Lloyd's of London, a big insurer, basically standing in solidarity with Indigenous communities on the West Coast who are protesting against the construction of the Trans Mountain Pipeline. So it's all about how we can connect all of these different struggles and actually try to get things done. And I mean, that sounds all like lots of big ideas and nice words, but what does that really mean? And I think, well, for me, it meant joining Labour for a Green New Deal. And we've got local groups all across the country. We've got our conference motion that's going to conference this September to try and get the Labour Party to be a bit less shit and actually do something on this. And it means, yeah, finding whatever struggle kind of speaks to you and getting as involved as you can, I think.
See, what I do like about some of what you're doing, especially, you say about taking a motion to conference. So the Labour Party is a political party that its policies are shaped by its members. So you guys, as members of the Labour Party, you're trying to use your influence or your membership to make sure that the Labour Party is on the same page as you, but also doing something about what's going on. And alongside that, you talk about the actions that you're doing. What, like, say there's acts of international solidarity. Some people have spoken about divestment of funds, so like pensions and stuff. What's that? How can people take action on divestment of funds? Do you turn up at the bank and just say to them, like, stop investing, or is it through the workplace? What kind of stuff can people do?
That's a really good question. So like one way of doing it, obviously, is by doing your own research, looking at resources that are available and like moving your bank account. But again, that's just like one person doing this. And so I would say the better thing to do is find if there's a divest group in your local area. And they often work on things like divesting pension funds or divesting like local government investments as well. So one thing I'm involved in my union at work actually is a divestment group that's trying to get our work to move our pension fund towards a green fund that doesn't have fossil fuel investments. So that's like one option. But I'd say always try and find a group of people to do this with rather than just go at it alone.
Definitely. I like that as well, because I definitely believe in the idea that there's power in the people, as in the movement. There's that old thing of like one fish in front of a shark and then like a million fish in front of a shark. When we all come together, we have a lot more power. And I love that. And that's a key thing around what, when you're organizing. Now, the other side of a lot of what's going on in the world is, the climate change is affecting us in the north now. And we're like, oh no, it's bad. Well, most of us are. And there's a few Tories who aren't. But, in what's called the global south, there's they've had years of it. The acts of the north have had years and years of problems created or devastation created for the south. Is there anything further that we can do to kind of try and start protecting people there, or trying to even reverse some of the stuff that's gone on?
Yeah, there definitely is. And part of that is acknowledging what's called our like fair share of climate emissions, which is we're not just trying to get to net zero or decarbonize for us. It's like we have to recognize the history, as you said, of colonialism, of the empire that has basically meant that, oh, maybe in the UK, we can have walkable streets and we can move to electric cars. Well, that's only because of all the wealth that we've built up in this nation by extracting from countries all around the world. So I think one of the main things we can do is be really, really aggressive in our decarbonization targets. And that means like 2030 should still be on the table. All of this chat about we're going to get to 1.5 degrees by going towards 2050, like, is just, maybe we'll be fine for the UK, but certainly will not be fine for the rest of the global south.
So this 2030 and 20, because the government keeps saying we're going to be zero, whatever, by 2050. What's the difference between 20? Because for a lot of young people like me, I'm 31, right? And I've just come to the realization how quick 30 years can go by, right? The last 10 years have flown by compared to my first 20 years in this world. Obviously, there's a difference there, but I mean, the first 10, it was like, took ages to get to being 10. I'm like, I'm going to be on this earth forever. And then when you get to 20, you're like, yeah, life's good. And then when you get to 30, you're like, damn, that went quick. So for a lot of young people, and I'm specifically thinking about people who may be voting soon, who are able to get bank accounts and all that kind of stuff, what is going to be the difference between now, 2021, and 2030, making those changes in the next 9 years compared to what the government are saying, where they're going to spend 29 years making those changes? Could you try and make it a bit realistic for someone like me?
For us, yeah. I mean, that's a really big question.
Yeah.
I'll try to answer. I think for me, the really big difference, as I said, is like what implications that has for the global south. So if we're not, take a look right now, we're not decarbonizing, and what's happening, small villages in Canada are catching on fire. The ocean is on fire. There's about to be a huge famine in Tigray in Ethiopia. Like, so much stuff is going on. This is now. And if you think, oh, actually it's fine for us to just wait until 2050 until we get a handle on what's happening with the climate, things are only going to escalate basically and get way, way worse in that time. So like, we don't really have time to wait, particularly if we're thinking about communities that don't have the immense resource behind them that we do in the UK. What I think that like maybe looks like in practice, that's a really good question. Part of it is like figuring out, for example, how do we invest in green technology? And by green technology, I'm not like, oh, we're going to solve this by like sucking carbon out of the air and burying it underground. Like, no. I mean, like, okay, we need to have like publicly owned and free electric bus systems everywhere so that no one needs to be reliant on a car. And like, those are things that can happen really quickly. It's already started in Manchester, and like, we need more of that. And we also need to figure out like what are green jobs as well, because I think a lot of people are worried that we're going to take action on climate change and people won't have jobs anymore, particularly in like the fossil fuel industry. But it's like, no, how can we get jobs in the UK? For example, building and installing wind turbines. Like, those are the different layers that I think we need to start thinking about. And also, like, some of this stuff shouldn't be scary. It's exciting. I think that to me is what is like really actually inspiring about the Green New Deal. It's not like, oh no, we have to take action on climate change. That means I like can't take a long shower. I can't take a bath. Like, I've got to wash out all my tubs. It's like, no, we get to take action on climate change and have a way like more compassionate, more healthy, and like more obviously environmentally friendly world to live in that's like more luxurious for everyone. And that's what I want. So yeah, I think people should feel excited about it.
Now, something that I love to promote, and I always promote it on this show, is the 4-day week. Is the 4-day week, because there's a lot of argument about this, especially on online when you mention it. People are like, oh, this and that. But does the 4-day week come under a Green New Deal?
I think it can. I think maybe it should. We definitely are. Yeah, we definitely are in favor of the 4-day week. I mean, part of a Green New Deal is like rethinking, and not even just rethinking, like capitalism out the door, socialism in. And obviously as part of that is like completely rethinking what work means. And so obviously a 4-day week is going to be a big part of that.
Yeah, no, I'm down with that. Yeah, I am all about the 4-day week, 3-day bender, no surrender. Hence the horse throat right now. But the other thing with like Green New Deal is not just a Labour thing, it is an international campaign. You've got the support of people like AOC over in America. Here in the UK, obviously, RLB and Zara Sultana. We're gonna have to abbreviate Zara somehow, give her some cool little abbreviation to her name. But yeah, you've got the support of some. What's fantastic is it's amazing women in this world that are behind the campaign. And I always think, you know, if you're gonna lead the best movement, you're better off having a woman at the head of it, because you know men have messed up the world so much already. Let's let the women get on with the job, you know what I mean? And we will get behind you and support you. So, but thank you so much for coming on the show today. If people do want to find out more and get involved with the Labour for a Green New Deal, or just learn a bit more about what you guys are about, where can they go? What's the handles?
So we're at LabGND on Twitter. And then you can also find us at labourgnd.uk. And that's how you might figure out, like, if you want to get involved, how you can do that. And if you want to pass our conference motion as well, how you can do that too. So yeah, lots of info on our website.
Oh, fantastic. Tilly, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will definitely catch up soon. Okay.
Amazing. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye. Wow, there you have it. There are so many ways that you can get involved and be a part of the action to help prevent things like this happening. Look at this. Look at the sea is on fire. Oh my God. I can't get this. This is not okay. Seriously, people, this is not okay. We need to do something. Anyway, listen, let's get on with the news. We have got loads of independent media news to cover today, and I have lost where I'm up to. Let's have a look now. The the headlines today on independent media partner websites coming up right now. First of all is the Canary covering the police, crime and courts bill, which, if passed, will give police powers to stop you from making noise in public, allow further attacks on Gypsy Roma communities, and create an even more hostile environment for the most marginalized in our communities. And overall, it will bring the UK into being one of the most authoritarian of states we've seen it ever be. This bill has caused so much anger and protests across the UK. It's fantastic to see different people from different groups coming together to try and take down this bill. Now, every single person in this country will be affected because it puts us all at risk. Every single person in this country is at risk, trust me. Now, in the Canary today, they've highlighted the two-page letter from Dunja Mihatovic of the EHRC Council, urging MPs and peers of the UK government not to pass the bill. Now, it is important to remember that even though the UK is no longer a member of the EU, it is still a member of the 47 nation Council of the EHRC. The letter encourages the government to reconsider how they curb dissent amongst the public. My recommendation would be to stop letting people die, ends their corruption, and to start thinking about how we raise up our communities instead of raising the number of zeros at the end of bank balances owned by people with already too many zeros at the end of their bank balances. The bill in itself needs to be scrapped, and in my opinion, a lot of the stuff it covers needs to be looked at from the people's perspective, because right now what they're doing is they're looking at it from a government perspective and how they stop people turning against the government, when really they should be looking at what the people need. The current government talk about being the people's government, and what are they doing for the people? It's dehumanizing, this bill, and it aims to criminalize innocent people trying to use their voice or just get along in life. It's creating criminals, and creating criminals does not bring about peace. As they say on the streets, no justice, no peace. Now, big love and big respect to all the people out there protesting against the bill. I believe there's people out there tonight as it is going through Parliament. So that what happens is, if you don't understand it, bills go through Parliament and then they go up to the Lords. The Lords mess around with it and then it goes back to Parliament and they vote on it, and then it either becomes or doesn't become law. Hopefully the government do not vote for it to go through. Unfortunately, it's this government that have put it through, so it's likely it will. So what parliamentarians are doing who disagree with the bill is putting through amendments to try and change parts of the bill. Some of those amendments are things like actually trying to change the law so it protects shop workers. That's been covered by Tim Lazard in Union News. And also there are other amendments which are trying to change the ways. Ian Byrne, who we've spoken about on this show before, has been speaking on Twitter today about the effects it will have on Gypsy Roma traveler communities. And he's putting through amendments about how they can change that. So hopefully these things will be voted for and they can change it. Now, sticking with the Canary, and the smirking assassin is back with her laser eyes looking for refugees at sea. John Schaffhauser is keeping a close eye on what Priti Patel, the current overseer of the hostile environment, is up to. Asylum shopping, I got that wrong there. Asylum shopping is the new term they're using to dehumanize people seeking refuge in the UK. A new bill titled the Nationality and Borders Bill is due to be read in Parliament tomorrow. Priti Patel's busy at the moment, trust me, and it ain't a good kind of busy. I had to bring this article up because what John has done is take apart the bill and the ongoing lies of a Tory government. Now, in 11 years, they have continued to tell people that we are full and that our borders need closing while keeping them open during a pandemic, and that they're saying that they're going to fix the asylum system. But it's been 11 years and they keep blaming the last government, the Labour government. It's mad when a government can be in power for so long, yet blame the last government for the things that they continually keep doing. Also, in the article, it helps us understand that, we are not full. The system is broken, but these people are not the problem. By these people, I mean the people seeking asylum, the refugees. And what we actually see in the article is an explanation of how these, humans, mums, dads, children looking for a better life, escaping war and or repression. And what the bill does is turns these people into criminals before they've even had a chance to plead their case. I think John says it best in the article with this line: imprisoning asylum seekers won't fix a problem that doesn't exist. It will, however, give yet another Home Secretary yet another chance to virtue signal to the voters who eat this stuff up. So head over to the Canary and read the whole piece. It is brilliant and well for share. Thank you very much, John, for putting it out there. Now over to Declassified UK, where a man who really does not like me has been accused of breaking UK ministerial code over arms to Israel. Yeah, man, I had a little beef with Mr. Cleverley on Twitter one time, and his supporters definitely came after me, but I'm still here. He's not happy. He said I was lying about what went on in Parliament. Funny that. Now, big up Mark Curtis for covering this story, because James Cleverley MP, a massive arsehole, and he's currently Britain's Middle East minister, he has got a pretty bad record for not doing anything useful for the country. And it's a bit like that uncle. You know what I mean? He's the uncle that turns up to a party that no one wants him at. And he turns up in like a topless car or a Jag or something that just proves he's trying to compensate. And he spends the night talking about himself and how rich he is while not buying a single drink, and then drives home drunk. Yeah, you know that uncle. The guy has 14 cases where he has had written questions sent to him, but he has not answered them. This is a serious matter in Parliament, and they call it obfuscation. Now, I thought that means to have something taken from you, like in school when they take your MP3 player off you. Wait, hold on. So an MP3 player is a device that plays music. We used them before the iPhone. They're also called Walkmans, but just for those of you who don't know MP3 players are. Anyways, it means to make something unclear or obscure. The questions are in relation to whether UK arms have been used in Gaza and the recent have been used in the recent bombardments of Gaza. We keep hearing of Tory corruption in the government and their sleaze, and trying to avoid transparency, using WhatsApp or even post-it notes to avoid freedom of information requests. You remember that story, right? This is another example of it, and it just stinks. It stinks just as bad. All of it stinks. When you smell shit, it's shit. On top of that, it adds to the explanation behind the absolute lack of solidarity with Palestinian people from our government. Ben Jamal, the director of Palestine Solidarity Campaign, said, "This failure by the government to answer questions about arms exports to Israel is shamefully consistent with its systematic disregard of its own regulatory guidelines regarding arms exports and its broader unwillingness to hold Israel to account for its violations of international law and the rights of the Palestinian people." I get lost for words with a lot of this stuff that goes on in the government, but James Cleverley here is clearly hiding something. And when he's broken the rules within the place where they make the laws, surely someone has to do something. Surely someone inside Parliament is keeping the rules going, right? Isn't that the job of the Speaker? Someone somewhere must know how we can bring these people down, because there is no way that we can continue to allow to have a government that keep lying. Now, finally, something from those good people at the Meteor, Manchester's independent media. Yes, this is a bit of a good news story to wrap the show up with. Judith Stucklin has written about the Manchester International Festival, and it's kicked off this weekend with a choreography of Desire. This looks really exciting. I felt like I was there while I was reading this piece about the opening ceremony. There was 140 dancers performing under the Beaton Tower in its shadow, and all of them residents of Manchester, taking people on a journey of the last 16 months. Many of the dancers had no dancing experience and pulled the performance together under COVID restrictions currently in place. And they did it all in 15 days. I thought that was fantastic. I get confused with the COVID restrictions. To mask, not to mask, to vaccine, not to vaccine, who knows these days. The festival also includes a participatory artwork of Big Ben lying down, which is coated in 20,000 copies of books that have shaped British politics, ranging from authors like Margaret Atwood, George Orwell, and Karl Marx. The temporary landmark aims to inspire new conversations about what we value. Sounds like a lot is going on in Manchester and for the festival between now and the 18th of July. So head on over to the Meteor website, learn a bit more about it, and if you can, check out the festival in person. There is a full roundup of today's independent media news from the partners that we have here at Bywire. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. If you have enjoyed it, please definitely hit the like button, hit the share button, retweet. You know what it is. Come on now, show me some love, people. And a big thanks to Tilly from Labour for a Green New Deal for helping us understand a bit more about what we can do to try and stop the sea being on fire. I cannot believe the sea is on fire. You know what it is, people. And don't forget, bywire.news is the website to go to where you can check out our 24/7 coverage of independent news. And don't forget, if you're able to, hit the donate button. Help us keep independent media alive and help us keep it on your screens wherever you are, whenever you need it. Tune in tomorrow at 9 p.m. where we will have another jam-packed show full of all your favorite stuff and hopefully some good news stories because we like to keep them coming. Hit on the Bywire for the news you know you can trust. My name's Dan Lewis and I will see you guys tomorrow night.